Hey guys, Coupon to Provide here, and today I'm coming at you with a quick tutorial for the mini happy planner. Now you guys saw me create the junk journal style inserts for my mini happy planner in my previous video, and you also saw the denim cover that I was using for the planner. Now it wasn't specifically for the planner, so you all requested that I show you how to create one for the planner, and that's what we're going to be doing today. As usual, we're going to be using basic supplies such as a ruler and a blade, and some cereal boxes that you could probably find somewhere around your house or any kind of cardboard, poster board, or whatever you want to use. I'm going to be using cereal boxes because I like to repurpose product that I don't want to just toss into the trash. So I'm going to take a cereal box, flatten it out, and clean up the edges. We're going to cut off all of the flaps, and once those are cut off, we are going to open up the side of the box that is glued together. This is going to give us an open, flat surface to work with. We're going to do this with two other boxes. The reason we are using these different layers is because one is going to be layered inside of the denim fabric, one is going to be layered on top of the denim fabric cuts on the inside of the planner so that you can clean up all of your edges, and then one is going to be used as a secure space for the plastic insert that we will be using for the cover. So once we have cleaned up all of our edges, we're going to go ahead and begin playing with the cut size of the planner cover. Now you want to take a actual put together planner so that you can see how the book shifts as you open and close it. And you're going to start to measure the length left to right for your planner cover. You want to make sure that whenever the planner cover is closed, that the pages will not poke out the sides. So that is why I open and close when I'm taking my measurements. Also make sure you move and remeasure right before cutting because you don't want to have crooked cuts. It just puts a nice clean look on the overall project. So now that we've created our left to right cut, we're going to go ahead and begin our top to bottom cut. All you have to do is again put the planner onto the cardboard, line it up, and cut it. Now for me, of course, it looks a little bit more complicated because I can't put my head over the measurement and I can't put my head all in front of the camera. So I have to kind of find other ways to get a straight line from the angle that I'm at. Once we've created our cut for our cover, we can go ahead and begin cutting the fabric. Now I have gotten 3 projects so far from this one pair of jeans. These are the hubby's jeans. Very sentimental for us, so I'm so happy to convert them into something else that I can use and enjoy for a very long time. So you want to have enough fabric laid flat to have about 1 inch around all the sides of your cardboard. You're going to take some fabric glue. You could use Mod Podge or whatever. I use this one from the Dollar Tree, or you can find it at Walmart for about $1. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and layer that all over the cardboard, and you want to work it in there really good because it begins to soften the texture of the cardboard. And once you start to do that, those different fibers work into the fibers of the fabric, and then you get a nice stiff solid piece. Now that we've glued it down, we're going to go ahead and massage the fabric also and work it into the glue. As it sets, we can begin to trim down our sides. You only want about 1 inch around each one of the sides. This is just going to allow you to fold it over and cover it with the next layer of cardboard and give it a nice clean look. It also adds a little structure to all the edges of your book. Now I'm going to let this set for a few minutes by putting some heavy books onto it, but for the sake of the video and the fact that I didn't want it to take all day, I just used a blow dryer and dried it up a little bit. You can do the same thing. Now you're going to cut angles around your corners, and this is just going to allow you to fold the fabric over without the fabric overlaying and making it very bulky on the corners. You're going to add glue to all the sides and work it in really good with a brush. Now this one is a little messy because there is a lot of glue work, but it's totally worth it. Now when gluing your fabric down, you want to make sure that you pull it as tight as possible and you have it as nice and as neat as you can. I like to apply a lot of glue over the entire strip on the edge and make sure to overlay some where the fabric frays. I want to make sure that it's nice and stiff and stuck to the cardboard so that it doesn't cause separation between the layers later on. Once we have all of our fabric glued down on all the sides, we're going to go ahead and begin playing with the placement and the sizing of the inner layer cover. All you're going to do is take another box. This one is actually a cookie box because it's a little bit smaller, required less cutting. And we're going to trim it down to fit in nicely into our planner cover. Now when it comes to gluing the inside cover, I like to do it in parts. So I always start with the spine of the book. The reason I do this is because once you glue everything, it tends to shift, and I like to make sure that the spine is straight, so I always do that one first. It's going to be the same exact steps. You're just going to add the glue and hold it in place for a little bit. Make sure it's nice and stuck before you start working on the next spaces. Again, for the sake of the video, I did run the blow dryer along the spine of the book. Then we're simply going to repeat the same exact thing on the left and right side of the book cover. You're going to take your glue, make sure you work it very well into the cardboard, and mash it down. I actually do that by using a combination of a dollar store massager to spread that glue between the cardboard surfaces, binder clips, and a heavy book. It's super simple. I just try to make sure that I do my part in creating a nice, secure, flat surface for my book. And of course, it wouldn't be a me planner tutorial if we didn't incorporate the Dollar Tree chopping mats, but first, we have to take another layer of a cardboard box and add a secure slip-in space for our plastic sheet. What we're going to do is take this box and trim it down to match the other layers. Alright, so now that we have played with cleaning up our edges, we're going to go ahead and create the window space for our plastic slip to slide in and out of. All we're going to do is, number one, take our plastic cutting mat and begin playing with the measurement. You want a little bit under or around about an inch on the top and the bottom. So what we're going to do is create that measurement and begin cutting our plastic. Now we're not going to overcut because we want to make adjustments as we go. So once we have our top and bottom cut, we're going to go ahead and cut the width. Now there is no specific measurement, but I went with about 2.5 inches. Now we have a 2.5 inch top to bottom cut, and we're going to begin punching our holes to fit the space. All you're going to do is use one of your inserts as a punch guide, because you cannot use plastic in the Happy Planner hole puncher. Now this is one of my essential tutorials or little DIYs for the planner videos. All you're going to do is take your insert, lay it very straight along the edge of the plastic, and trace the hole. Then you're going to take your dollar store hole punch and punch those holes. Taking a pair of scissors, you're going to cut a thin slit into the center of each hole. Line it up with your insert, make sure that your slits are nice and even, and then we're going to begin playing with the placement and where we're going to cut our window. Put your ruler against the seam of the cardboard box and cut to the length of your plastic. it's going to give you a nice strip. Now let me show you. If you cut the strip too thin and give yourself too thin a space, when you put your planner into your book with the plastic insert connected to the discs, it's not going to allow shift space for the book to open and close. It's going to make it very bulky and not even. So what you're going to do is create a larger window. Taking your ruler, cut yourself a nice wide window about 1/2 inch wide. This is going to allow your plastic slip to move around on the disc comfortably and allow the disc to push against the back of the board, but also move with the movements of the book. Then whenever you slide it in, it's going to be a nice even open and close motion. So now we're going to add this layer of cardboard into our cover. Now on the side where you have the window, do not cover it with the glue. Allow yourself the length of the plastic slip or the width of the plastic slip with no glue, because that's going to be where it slides in and out whenever the book is in use. Now the reason I wanted to use a plastic slip was because you could actually take it off of your planner and interchange it with any other planners that you will also use in this book cover. Pretty much all I'm doing is repeating the drying steps, and of course I will take it to the blow dryer and blow dry that off camera and get into the decorative part. Now I'm going to take a $1 Dollar Tree calendar and select an image. I did want to go with the black and white striped, but I wanted to be able to distress, so I went with the blue one. It's a really adorable image, and all you're going to do is layer it onto the cardboard cover. Now you could take it across the entire back, but I actually like to have some texture and make it look more junk journal-like, so I don't put it over the spine on the inside of the book. I like to cut it in half and put it on either side. For me, it just adds some kind of texture to the overall design of it. So all we're doing now is folding our calendar image in half. We're going to cut it in half. Then we're going to glue it to the inside of the cardboard to add a decorative element. Now for myself, when cutting the top to bottom length, I actually just rounded it to a 1/2 inch of the actual size. This way it was going to give me a little tiny bit of a border. The reason I wanted the border was because when I distress it, I want some of that cardboard to peek out the top and bottom, just to add another cool textured look to the layout. So now that we have our images cut to the size that we want, we're going to go ahead and begin gluing them down. And you are going to add glue in the window space, because whenever you cut, you want that little window space to be decorative as well. Once you've worked the paper really well onto the cardboard, go ahead and take your blade and cut along the window line. Now you're just going to cut where the flap lifts. You don't have to cut anything else, and make sure you push your paper down very nicely into the cardboard. Now for myself, when I push down, I do like to kind of add a few more wrinkles to the paper since it is wet with the glue, because when I go over and distress it later, it's going to give it a nice texture with all of those different creases and rises in the paper. Now that it has been blow dried a little and leveled out with a book, we're going to go ahead and begin to kind of see it all come together. You can see the plastic slips in and out very easily, and with the planner in it, it looks adorable, guys. Absolutely adorable. So now that we have the actual structure of the piece complete, we can go ahead and begin embellishing. Now I want to distress these edges a little bit, so I'm going to take some liquid stain and begin running it along the edge of the book. I'm just going to work it all kinds of ways into and onto the sheet to add some age. I feel like it's a little too polished for me. You could definitely keep it like this if you like. You can do whatever you want at this point. I just like for my edges to look a little dirty, like this thing has been through some years. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do by adding the dark brown around the edges and then even running some red over the actual sheet and the spine. Now for some more texture, I'm going to take a vellum sheet because it's nice and see-through and you can kind of have a mixture of what the image on the sheet and the image on the cover. And I'm going to cut out a very large piece, and this is actually going to become a pocket on the inside of the planner cover. Along with that, I'm going to use the same vellum sheet and cut a tuck spot. All that is basically is a long thin strip that you adhere, and you can tuck papers into it, kind of like a pocket, but super thin. And of course, I always have to make sure I mention that the tape that I'm using is the Basic brand tape. It's BAZIC brand tape, because I get asked questions about it in every single video, so I have to make sure to mention it. Since it is a wide strip, all I'm doing is folding it over on itself and creating a thinner strip, because it's just a really good way to add a little extra adhesive. Now I'm going to begin embellishing with some lace. Now I was gifted this, and I can't remember if this was some of the vintage lace that I was gifted, but either way, it's gorgeous and it's wide, and it's going to allow me to make some modifications that I really like on the ends of these covers. So all I'm going to do is take some double-sided tape as well and begin adhering it down. You can do this with any kind of adhesive, I guess, just to keep it a very simple way, no stitch, no nothing required. And I'm going to also cover it up. I missed the clip I don't have it, of the smaller or thinner gold strip and the more frayed ribbon that I used on top. I thought I was recording it, but I wasn't. Long story short, just gonna add some layers of ribbon that you can also find at the dollar store or any thrift store if you can find an old stash or anything like that, and just use that. Now it is a bit wide, so I'm actually gonna cut it in half, but don't toss that half strip. You can use that for something else as well. And when I cut it in half, I absolutely loved the outcome. And that is pretty much it, guys. Now I did want to add some seams of paper in here, so let me know in the comments below if you're interested in seeing that. We could use the same book and add some junk journal, tea stain, coffee stain paper in here, as well as our planner. If you're interested in that, definitely leave it below, because I think it's a fun collaboration of products for people like me that just love the Mini Happy Planner and junk journals. If you enjoyed this video, guys, go ahead and give me a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what you think about the whole project and the whole concept of the junk journal and the planner. Don't forget to follow me on my social medias, on Instagram and my Facebook group at Coupons to Provide. And don't forget, guys, keep couponing. Bye!